G'day fellas, welcome back to another qualifying video. This week it is Daily Race B at the old Dragon Trail Seaside. The FR cars look like they are OP again this week here, especially the Viper. We've already done a Viper qualifying video, so we thought we'd challenge ourselves to a front wheel drive qualifying video for the same circuit. So we've chosen the Scirocco, although I was a 10th off this time in the Audi TT as well, with very similar techniques. Brake balance on this particular lap is rear 4, although we did run rear 3 and rear 5 in getting within a 10th of this lap time. So not a huge difference there. Let's just see how committed you have to be to get through this chicane here. Really grazing those walls, pretty much jumping everything. Anyway, we'll jump on board in car, making our way down to turn 2 this time, as turn 1 is pretty much flat out. Braking right next to the 150 board. It's going to be a nice long threshold section. Get down to 4th, then we're going to want to pick up 3rd just as we start to release the brake pedal. Taking a lot of this curb on the inside, get a little bit of squeeze of wide open, about 50% throttle we're sort of looking for here, then squeeze back on the juice, running all the way out onto the curb. Pick yourself up 4th, very similar in the TT as well, as we make our way down to the next tight right-hander. So these U-turns is where we'll find most of our time, just cutting this as much as we can without unsettling the car too much. End up on the curb before we threshold brake, down to 3rd, not using 2nd here, rolling through the corner, then opening the throttle and getting on the wide open pretty early, trying to balance that understeer with the wheel spin to try and get a nice line, pulling yourself out of that particular corner. You'll find yourself up in 5th. Now I just brush on the brakes here and just roll down to the apex. As you feel that we're coming to the apex, we're just going to open the throttle, let the car roll through the corner, trying to end up almost in the middle of the road here before we flick right. Now using the left-hand tyres over this curb once again to turn the car. We fell off the curb a little bit too early there. You can get that a fair bit nicer. Wide open throttle all the way through here. Staying on that middle curb will just help your exit there. You see we run a little bit wide. That probably cost us a 10th or so. Not too bad in the scheme of things. We're going to pick up 6th. We're going to be braking around the 150 board, just a bit after, I think. Yeah, sort of 140, 130 meter mark here by the looks of it. We're going to get all the way down into 3rd again before we turn in, I believe. Yes. Now a little bit of coast on the apex, crack the throttle once the car settles off the bump or off the inside curb, slowly squeezing that throttle open as we balance the wheel spin and the car pulling itself out of the corner, staying on the left hand side of the road, upshift before we hit this curb, or whatever you want to call those, the islands. Only using the left-hand wheels over the second one, trying to keep a nice steady input there. A little bit of a lift just before the first one. Wide open and running to that wall on the outside. You're really trying to thread the needle there. As your times come down, you'll find you'll be threading that closer and closer. Now, this is a fairly tricky corner. I find this fairly tricky myself. Braking around the 120 meter mark, I reckon, here. Nice threshold, just down into 4th, and then we're going to pick up 3rd as we turn in. We're trying to get a lot of rotation and roll around this corner. As you can see, it's a long trail brake as we try and keep the nose down and the speed up so the car can do its final U-turn of the lap. Really gentle on the exit there, making sure we don't understeer off the track. And a nice short run to the line. I've tried jumping and not jumping that curb. Seems to unsettle the Scirocco more than it does the TT. If you're a TT driver, you can pretty much straddle that. In the Scirocco, it unsettles it a bit, maybe a couple of thousandths there if you really want to try. as we go on board with some chase view, like we said, braking around about the 150 mark. We're going to go down into fourth, really opening up this corner. Third as we cut that corner as much as possible. 50% throttle through the second part, wide open throttle in fourth on the exit. Get yourself a little bit of a breather now. Fifth gear and straddle this curb, finishing on the outside on the ripple strip, down into third. Don't use second, slows the car down too much. Using the throttle and unwinding the steering to bring the grip back to the car. Just a little brush on the brakes and a roll in fifth gear. Back on the throttle as you hit the apex. Trying to use this middle curb to slingshot the car around that corner. A little bit unsuccessfully. That forces us to use too much curb on the last part of the corner. Yeah, wish I had a cleaner version for that. So braking around the 130, 140 mark here. Down to fourth. Then third. Trying to clip this car with the rear, curb with the rear tyre so that help the car rotate. Squeezing the pedal on third on exit. Upshift to fifth as you hit that wall before. A little bit of a lift. Thread the needle as best you can through there. It's a nice radius turn on the way in. You'll see from the in-car view we're pretty much turning from the second curve all the way to the third one. Braking here around the 120 as before. Down into third. We're going to start fourth. We're going to start turning in fourth. Then pick up third. Trying to run a nice radius over that inside curb, gently squeezing the eggshell throttle on the way out. Fourth and a run for the line. You can probably bypass that curb, unsettles this car just a little bit. So sixth gear flat out, 150 mark, down into fourth, turn in, pick up third, straddle that curb, 50% throttle, max noise on the way out. Fifth, center this curb under the car, finish on the ripple strip on the outside, down into third, roll the car through this corner. You can get on the throttle a little bit early, but too early is understeering off. Fifth gear, rolling in, just the lightest brush over the brakes, trying to finish in the middle of the road so we can swing back to the right hand side, using the left hand tyres over that curb to slingshot the car. Left hand tyres on the left hand curb this time. Try and suck the car around the corner. Can be done a little bit cleaner. About the 120, 130 mark, could have even been the 140. Rear tyre over that curb to help rotate the car. Rear right hand tyre. So up to fifth as we hit this curb. Light lift here just before we touch the curb. You'll see quick flicks on the steering wheel each way as we're going over those curbs. 120, turn in when you're still in fourth, pick up third as we make our way down to the apex, crack the throttle when you feel like you're there, and wide open throttle when you feel like you won't understeer off the edge of the track. And thanks for watching. We'll jump on board with some bumper cam, and this is about the time of day where we plug good old Simcoders podcast. A couple of massive episodes got released this week. The first one was Cliche from Digital Car Culture out of the UK. That was a great chat, and we followed it up with our first ever live chat with Chad Rice. Had the chat stream and everything going as a new format, looking forward to getting underway in 2021. So check those bad boys out. Otherwise, good luck with your qualifying, and have a good week, fellas, and I will see you all later.